It's just a little after breakfast here, but it also means that we are back to just some regular housing. We visited the PTR yesterday, so if any of you missed that, be sure and check out the archive video on that. There may be a chance that we'll come back to that if I find some more plots. I just haven't been back. I got busy yesterday with some other things and didn't get a chance to hop back on to look for more stuff. So there's a chance we may visit again. But for now, we're back on some regular housing kind of stuff. Good morning, Soccer. Glad you could join us. Today I have, hopefully, a little bit of a special thing. I've been practicing and it's been kind of messing up, so I don't know if it's going to work proper, but I'm going to try. What it is Katia dropped by yesterday evening on EU side, and she spent a few minutes kind of giving me a one-on-one quickie demo of how to set up a new interactable using her new Interactables feature on her KBT add-on. For those of you unfamiliar, KBT is Katia's Builder Toolkit. It's almost, not quite, but almost a must-have add-on for avid builders, even for beginner builders, really. It's just a big quality of life. It expedites a lot of things. It makes things a lot easier, especially when it comes to copying. It also provides a way for us to save, effectively save the entire plot or portions of the plot if you have little sets of furniture or something that you want to give to a friend, or just move to a different plot or something like that. It's got bug fixes and everything else. It's like everything in the kitchen sink, all wrapped into one. It's one of a couple of add-ons that I actually use, but today we're going to be showcasing Katia's because she's just recently done an update to it to add this new Interactables feature. And the way I understand it, it's probably going to just really help the immersion as far as, especially for role players. We already have some interactable decor as is, like seating and doors, but this feature allows you to create interactables out of just about anything. Excuse me. So it's really gonna, I think, once people get the hang of it, it's really going to just amplify people's imagination with the ideas they'll come up with how to utilize it. Anyway, I'm going to try and show an example of how you would use this new feature and how to set it up. Fingers crossed it works. I've set up a little testing area. This is where she helped me last night set up a little switch, but I've removed it since then and tried practicing, and I got a few little bugger errors and stuff, so I'm not fully confident I can pull it off, but I'm going to attempt it. So you'll see I've made this quickie little makeshift lamp. It's just a couple of Cassian domes and a couple of Cassian pillars. Nothing fancy, just something simple. So what you do is the very first thing is you let's see if I remember the order right. I think first you set down the switch that you want to use. So I'm going to pull up the lever here and I'm just going to drop it down. I'm just going to stick it on the wall there. You could probably resize it and stuff later, but I'm just going to leave it big so you can actually see what it's doing. Then you call up the add-on, and on the tools section, if you've got the latest version, you'll see down in the drop down menu there's the new Interactables feature, and that will call up a new panel, and you'll see that it says the CATIA Interactables Manager, and basically this is where you kind of code in all of these little switches and levers and things that you're going to be using to turn off and on things or whatever. So you'll see that the active is deselected. You want to leave that alone for now. And then you have the target button and the add and remove. It's kind of intuitive, but kind of not. I didn't even want to touch it, to be truthful, because when it comes to tinkering around on the plot, it makes me nervous when I'm using some new tool as to whether or not it's going to mess something else up. But she was here yesterday evening kind of walking me through it, so I felt a little comfortable doing it here on this plot, and hopefully I do the thing justice. So you've set down the switch that you want to use, and first you have to tell the manager what item you're manipulating. So with the edit mode off, you just click it, and then you hit the target button, and it should change to the name of the item that you're programming, I guess is a good way of saying it. That just tells it that this is the one we're kind of tweaking, I guess. So then I'm going to lay down, I use the Chua Spotlight. I'm going to plop that down here. And I'm going to kind of set it up a little nice here. And just going to kind of make it look like there's a bit of a light there. Oh crap, can't get the size that I want. There we go. Something like that. Not perfect, you can arrange it. Again, this is just a quickie demo kind of thing. So you have it in the position that you want. So I'm going to say add, and you'll see that it pops up that according to this lever switch in this state, which is state 0, the spotlight should be here. Okay. So then I'm going to turn the edit mode off again and change the state of the interactable. I'm changing, it's like changing the position, but I'm not really moving it, I'm just toggling it. So it's changing the state of it. Then I'm going to reselect the spotlight, and since it's inside the dome, I'm having to use the place to core list here. Where is that thing? There we go. And I'm just going to move it off because I want it to be like it's not lit and then like it's lit. So I'm going to add that. So you'll see now it says state 0, the first position, and I've added the state 1 for the second position. Now, fingers crossed it doesn't bug out on me, because this morning I was in a panic because I was testing it, trying to get it to work, and it wasn't working for me, and it was just driving me bonkers. So first you turn off the edit mode so that you're back to your normal state here, and then on the manager you hit the active button, and this activates any interactables that you have programmed. They will become live, I guess is a good way of saying it. So right now it's in the off position, and I hope it works. It's not. Doing it again. I don't know why it's copying, it's repeatedly doing it. It should just set it once and leave it. Let me try it again. It could be something I'm doing wrong. Ugh. I was afraid it was going to do this. Let's just send that to create. And then let's try it again. Maybe it's something I'm forgetting to do. Spotlight, spotlight, spotlight. Where is that thing? Send it to create again. And I'm gonna remove this all. And I'm just going to do a quick reload just to make sure it's all cleared off. We'll try it again. So, in theory, you lay down the lever. Let's try it again. So sorry, Katya, that I get this messed up. Okay, so, whoops. I think I put it into crate instead. Now I got 3 levers, I think. Okay, so okay, we have the lever. Then we have add-on, Interactables. Target is blank, so turn off the edit mode, select it, and hit the target. It changes the name. Then we get the spotlight. Ooh. I really hope this works. It worked for me twice today. I've done it like 6 or 7 times this morning, practicing, trying to get this right, and only of the 6 I've gotten it to work twice correctly. So I don't know what it is I'm doing or not doing that's changing it up. Okay, so I'm going to add this position to the first. Okay. And then turning off the edit mode, I'm going to switch the lever. Then I'm going to select the spotlight. At first I thought it was because it was remembering like previous, even though I was removing all of the previous coding, it was like had it in memory and it kept repeating it for some reason. So I tried like different items and it didn't seem to make a difference. For some reason it keeps going into like a repetition or something. This might help her refine it a little bit for people like me that get it so messed up. Okay, so then I've changed the position and I'm going to add that to the second state. And then turn off the edit mode, turn it to active. Okay, it only did it once. That's good. So now it's on. Oh, okay, it worked. See, it seems like I did it the same way, but I don't know. It's just so there you go. That's how you would get it to look like you're turning on the lamp and turning it off. Now, of course, if you're the one in control of it, you're going to see the little where it's actually being replaced and moved about. I think that will be especially true if you're like trying to give it multiple movement, which according to her is possible. But yeah, it's clearly you have to be very careful when you're doing it because like I said, this is probably like the 7th or 8th time I've done this now, and it's not, I can't get it to do it every time successfully. Sometimes it does that repeat. So if you try this and it does do that repeat where it keeps like placing it over and over, just create it all back and then just try it again. Just do it again. So what we'll do is we're gonna, hey Bones, glad you can join us. I'm almost afraid to remove it now since it's working properly, but this is how it should do. It should place it once and the handlebar should disappear, and that should be it. If it does the repeat, you'll get some like major lag. I'm probably wigging out the whole housing system there because it's just was going bonkers. Before I try it again, though, I want to read a little bit of the stuff that I wrote down after talking with her. She says that uh, basically when you're setting up the different positions of your switch and your lighting, you're basically telling the program the rules. So this is like rule 1. If the toggle is in the down position, then the light is off. And I've just pushed it off into the wall so that you don't see it. And the rule 2 would be that when the position is changed, then the light is brought back and it looks like it's been turned on. She says that this functionality works for anybody that's on your plot, as long as you have the active going. Anyone on your plot can interact with the switches. So if someone else was on the plot right now, they could sit here and turn the light off and on as well. Even if they don't have the KBT add-on. It's only you, the owner of the plot, or if it's your alts plot or something, as long as you have decor manipulation rights on the property, you should be able to have it active, and then anybody can do it. How many lights can you hook up, Bones? From what Katya says, infinite. You can use as many as you want. This just keeps adding on. It's one big long list. Now I assume it would be kind of tricky to kind of determine which one's connected to what, but from what I can see, it has like a little indicator. So if you have a long list of lever switches, you can select the lever and it will show you which one you're directing with, which one you're connecting to. But it'd be like the sets. I love the sets, but it gets a little crowded when you have 50 plus of them. But according to Katya, you can put in as much as you want. And you can move multiple objects at once. If I wanted to have like 4 or 5 lights turn on at the same time, you would just want to link all of those together and have them controlled by the one switch. And that would work fine too. Let's see what else. Yeah, the functionality will work for anyone present on your plot as long as you are there and have it set to active, even if they don't have the KBT add-on. You can have multiple interactives working at the same time and can assign multiple movements to a single interactive, but it will only handle them at a rate of 2 per second. So if you want to move a lot of stuff, she recommends that you link them up. If for those on Entity, or if you've seen the videos of Katya's, I guess it's the Mount Celeste where the disco area is, the one we toured yesterday on the PTR, where they had the little dancing man. That's a great example of how you can use the switches to do several things at once. She's got like a whole board of switches, and each one controls the lights in a certain way so that it changes the configuration. And it looks like the little characters dancing in different positions, and that's how she's got that set up. Of course, hers was, that particular setup, from what I understand, is like custom coded. And this is kind of, I took it to mean that this is kind of like a simplified version of what she did to kind of make it more available to those of us that aren't very code savvy, that we can, even the simplest of us can program some customized switches and things. Let's see. She said you can use these to create custom interactables like this light, for example, or she has it so that in her in the apartment complex that we visited yesterday, all of the faucets have special switches so that when you click it, interact with it, the water appears to turn on and it'll turn off, and that's kind of nifty, especially, like I said, for role players. It's good. She also said that doors can be switches too, just like the lever. So you could end up getting folks that like to make mazes and puzzles. they could create some really interesting little interactive type of mazes and stuff with that. As for where these new interactable codes are saved, this information here, where it's saved on your disk, she did say that a /reload UI is recommended to make sure that whatever whatever little program you've set up is actually saved, just in case, like say I'm chatting here and I've got this, but I haven't done a /reload UI since I got it to work. If we were to crash suddenly, that information might be lost. So it's good to do a /reload UI just to make sure that it is saved, similar to when you do a set code kind of thing. But there is a difference between the two. The set codes are saved by character, so it's individual. The interactables are by account. So I could be on an alt, come in, open the add-on, and have the same coding already there. They share it. So all of your alts can run each other's homes. You know, if I have a home that has a bunch of things that's going on with it, I can be on there with an alt or my main and run it, or I can switch to a different character. That's really handy for role players that have to switch out for certain characters, like maybe they run a bar and they start off as maybe the owner of the bar, and then later in the evening they come out as a character that's running the bar itself. They can still have the same setup as far as interactables that might be going on, and won't have to worry about, well, I have to be on my main character because that's the only one that can control all of that. So that's a really good thing about these interactables. As long as it's your account that you're on, you should be fine. So yeah, that means your main, your alts, they all have the same config interactables panel as your main, so you're able to control it. So yeah, so I'm going to try it one more time just to see if we can repeat it. I'm fearful that it's not going to work, but we will try it. I'm just going to remove it so it's cleared, and we'll do just a reload UI just to get it all snazzy. And I'm going to go ahead, just to be safe, I'm going to put these into the crate just so that it's fresh and starting from scratch here. Okay, so first things first, see if we can do it. We place the lever that we're going to use as our switch, and I'm just going to bunker that down. Let's just try and make it nice this time. Hopefully it works. Okay, so we place that. Then we call up the add-on. And again, it's got no target yet. Everything's like it should be. While off of edit mode, the edit mode is turned off, we select the interactable. We hit target, and it should change the name. That's a key thing. It should change the name. Then we get out the decor that we want to use, which is the spotlight. Whoops, I'm on the vendor. So I'm going to rotate this off. Size it down a bit. And then I'm going to add that I want it in this position while that one is in that position, like so. Then I'm going to turn off the edit mode again. I'm going to change the configuration of the switch Then I'm going to select the spotlight again. Spotlight, spotlight, spotlight. Where are you? There we go. I'm going to push it off into the wall. You could put it down into the floor or up in the ceiling if you want. I don't think this works as far as it pulling it out of your like crate or something. You have to have it already placed somewhere because it's just remembering positions. So okay, I've moved it into the new location, so I'm going to add that. So now it's got state 0, it's this, and state 1, it's this. Then we're going to turn off the edit mode. We're going to activate it, and fingers crossed, it's on, it's off. There we go. So we got it to work twice in a row. That's amazing. That's amazing. Anyway, so there's that. So hopefully anyone that is curious about how that works, you know, can figure it out. Just remember, like say right now, I have this kind of sunk down. I didn't really check to see how far down it is. If I wanted to change that position, I would have to reprogram that because it's not in the right spot. So let's try that again. Do it a little nicer. We're going to send that. And you know what I did? I forgot to tweet about this. I sent it now, even though it's kind of late in coming. Silly me. Okay, so let's try this again. Do it a little nicer. You know, pretend like we're actually, this is in a house and we wanted to make it look pretty. So first, get the lever. Now, from what I understand, like I said, you can use just about any interactable. I do know that someone mentioned that they use some chairs and noticed that when you sit, it does its thing, but when they get out of the seat, it doesn't. And Katia explained it as something that the config of the seat itself changes when someone uses it, but when they get out of it, there's no like information exchange, so she can't tell when someone gets out of the seat. So there's no way to make it work like an actual toggle switch. So I don't know what that may mean, but I do know she said you could use doors. I know for her faucets, she used it looked like one of the Eldon panels. So any of the interactables would probably work. You just have to experiment with which ones work for you and which ones don't. I imagine if I wanted, I could probably just turn this around so that you don't see the actual lever, you just see the back of the panel, because it would still be interactable. It's just the lever would be going in and out, you know, up and down inside the wall, and then you just have looks like a little, you know, a little touch switch or something. But just so that it's got a visual over here, we're going to leave that there. So we placed it. Let's see, I think I didn't remove the old one, so let's remove, do a reload UI. So gonna mess this up. Third time's a charm though, right? Okay, so we have our lamp, we have our switch placed, and we're ready to set it up. So again, it's got no target yet. Active is off. Everything is clear, good to go. So we're going to, while the edit mode is off, can't really see that because I got it covered up, but while the edit mode is off, let's see. You select the interactable, you hit target, and it should change the name. And then going to place the spotlight that we want to use, this little light. Let's see. Oops. Just to make it. Okay, let's see if we can position it kind of like what we want. Gonna have to be a little smaller because I don't want that popping up suddenly. So let's put it to about 30. There we go. That looks okay. So we have it in the one position, and we've got the light in the first position. So we add that, and that's good to go. So you turn off the edit mode. You switch the lever. Makes me so nervous. I'm going to get it wrong. Then I'm going to select the spotlight again. Because remember, you're basically having to tell it according to how the switch is toggled, where the position of the light is. So we've given it the first position, now we have to give it the second one. Spotlight, spotlight, spotlight. Okay, so then I'm going to just push it off into the wall. That's all dark. And then I'm going to add that. So now it's state 0, it's in this position. The second state, it's inside the wall. Okay, then you turn off the edit mode again. You turn on the active on your manager panel, and you should, oh my gosh, I think it worked. Toggle it, and it turns off and on. I'm so happy that it worked. This makes me nervous because it was really giving me trouble. I don't know what it was I was doing. I swear I was using the same exact steps every time, and for whatever reason, it kept doing that little repeat like it did the first time we tried it. So there you go. There's a little lamp. You know, you could get fancier, I'm sure. And like I said, she said that you could do multiple. So like, say I had 3 of these lamps lined out, and I had 2 spotlights. I could link them all together and move them at the same time so that one switch would turn them all on. So really interesting, you know, like if you have a faucet that you want to show that there's running water, and then, you know, toggle it and it stops running water. She's got that set up, so that's possible. I don't know what else you might use it for. I'm sure you could do it for like doors if you want interactable doors that aren't actually interactable. You could get like some of the I don't know, the metal panels, or really anything that you're using as a faux door right now, you could actually turn it into an actual working door by linking all of those up and then having it move differently, you know, to a different position. I don't want to get into any that complicated because, you know, obviously I'm still learning how to use it. Good morning, Poi. Glad you could join us. So yeah, it's a really nifty addition. I imagine there's going to be a lot of nifty things. Yes, the unfortunate thing is you do have to be present on the plot for it to work for any visitors you might have. But for those that like to host events or little gatherings on their plot, this is like, you know, a boost to just making things more realistic and enjoyable for your visitors. You know, imagine going to a little bar scene where you can flip on the light in the bathroom and turn on the faucet water and, you know, do a beer tap, you know, that kind of thing. Obviously with Katia, she's got like the whole disco scene set up so that the images move and change configuration and everything. It changes the spotlights, you know, maybe you have red and blue blinking off and on. That could be interesting. Maybe you want to have like in a town kind of plot, and you have role players that have shops. Maybe they have little signs that says open and closed or something. They can toggle it off and on so that it'll let people know that, hey, their business is open for, business. Um, I don't know, just different things. Maybe you have a mailbox, a custom mailbox, and you want the little flag to go up and down when you have mail delivered or something. Yeah, you could do, I'm sure there's, secret passages will be good. Maybe you kind of disguise the toggle switch behind something to make it not as visible. But then when you toggle it, it opens up a door somewhere else. Um, Little, pretend that there's trapdoors or something. Maybe someone's standing on it and you switch it and then they have to go down inside or something, that kind of thing. Yeah, you could set up monsters and stuff if you want to go that way. But for basic, just house stuff, light switches, faucets, you could turn on your oven, have one stage where your oven is off, it's dark, and then the next one is suddenly lit up with red burning bits. Same way with your stove top. You could, I don't know, there's different things, I'm sure. I'm just, my brain's still stuck on the light, so I don't know what else you could use it for, excuse me. Maybe you can, if you have a military thing, maybe you raise the flagpole or something, have the flag down and then raise it up, or something, I don't know. But I'm sure we're going to start seeing a lot of that incorporated. And of course, as more people use it and start asking for it to do other things or additional things, I'm sure she will refine it, improve it, expand it to whatever folks need. But I think this is a really great start. It just brings some, like I said, extra functionality to things that normally wouldn't actually function. I mean, this isn't actually a lamp. I'm just turning it into one. So it just makes it fun. Fun idea. I have absolutely no brains when it comes to coding and stuff, so I admire Katya for being able to put that together. And of course, I use her add-on all the time, so it's a really fun thing. I do want to mention too, if you have it active and then you log off and then you log back in, it's automatically inactive. You'll have to turn it back on. So like if that's one slight disadvantage if you have a tendency to DC or something. Like if you're hosting a role-playing thing and people are, having fun, if you accidentally get DC'd, you need to remember to activate it again so it keeps everything running, because it will shut it off automatically. I think she figured it would be more less irritating to have it default off than to have it default on. I'm sure if people feel differently, they will let her know, but I think it's a good idea just to make sure. If you forget to turn it all off and you really don't want people tinkering with it too much while you're there, if you're not actually having an event or something, then you can just not have to worry about it. It's going to already be automatically off. Any of you guys have questions? I really don't know too much about it other than what I've demonstrated, and thankfully we got it to work 3 times so far. So, but if you missed it, if you're just coming in and you missed the demo, I can either do it again, which I really am hesitant to do because I think 3 times is probably my limit, but you can always just rewatch the video. I will archive it like all my other videos, so it'll be there for folks that are wondering. But yeah, it's one of those things that I see big things coming. I imagine those that have a lot of the spaceships and things that, they always have the doors, they have to leave them kind of half open or almost all the way open because they can't actually shut it. Now they can just set up these switches to actually function like an actual door, and just, you know, and then you go through and all that kind of thing. I think it's going to be really fun to see how this gets used and where, and the parts that they decide to use and how they, you know, disguise it and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be fun. See, I guess I'll go ahead and I'll just leave it on. Call it good. So yeah, there's the working light. I am not going to touch it for now because I'm afraid it's going to mess up. But definitely a fun thing to try. Don't be like me and be nervous about giving it a shot. Hopefully this little bit of a tutorial was helpful to whoever might be trying it out themselves. Okay, so springy stuff. We promised we'd get back to the springy stuff. What character is that on? Celery, I think. I'm starting to get my alts a little confused, forgetting who's got what. Is it celery? I don't know. We'll find out if it loads. But yeah, pretty excited. A lot of people have been posting all the things they've been finding. I saw someone post the sandwich that I was asking about. It looks like this thing's crashed. Come on. Goofy thing. Yeah, it went bye-bye. Hold on a minute. Let me just start it up again. I don't know, I've been getting that off and on. It's not regular, but just every now and then when I go to visit somebody's plot, even if it's one of my own, it just goes, I don't think so, and shuts me down. Oops. Trying to start up the wrong game here. We don't want to do that. But yeah, they were showing, I think somebody showed a picture of the sandwich, and for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, it's like a white bread sandwich with some meat and lettuce and stuff, and apparently you get it from the new Far Trader Fab Kit, the vendor there or something. Hey Maddie, good morning. Glad you could join us. Just joined us for me crashing. I'm here. It's just trying to get it loaded back up. Okay, let's see if we can get this. You can see my army of Orin here. I got one little lone Chua. He's so by himself. But yeah. Okay, let's try it again. Maybe it's a sign. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, this one isn't even maxed out, Harley. She's only got, like, let's see, like 741 placed. That's it. And it still crashes on sometimes for her. I don't know why. It's just, like I said, it's inconsistent. It doesn't do it every day or every time I try to visit. It's just once in a while it does it, and it always seems to be at the worst possible moment. No, I don't mind it when it's, you know, I'm off the stream and stuff, but during the stream it's kind of irritating because it's like, wow, it's not good advertisement there that it messes up. Okay, so we're back, and you can see I've done a little bit of tinkering. I went in here late yesterday evening and was doodling around. I basically made a white egg. It's just an Orin egg. And I started just trying different patterns with it. I also tried another mushroom egg, but it kind of looked a little funny, so I'm not really happy with that one. But I've been trying different ore ones just to get different designs to see what it looks like. Um, uh, just to give it a try. This one, for example, is the bowls. It's just the regular bowls. They look like tortoise shell parts, and I've just layered several um, to make different little doodads on there. This one is, I took the soccer ball uh, this time and just sized it, sunk it in, and made it look like it's making different little patterns. It's interesting, you know, where it blends in and where it doesn't. This one over here is, I call the red moon egg. It's just the red moon vents. So it's almost kind of like a mechanical egg. And just try different little bit. And this, I love this. It's weird how it looks almost like a cityscape or something. How it's done. You know, unfortunately, it's not flat. That would make a great background for a painting or something. But you know, it looks like a little cityscape or something to me. And of course, this looks nicely scalloped. I like that one. But just trying different ways to decorate the eggs, because later on when I get ready to send these out onto the property to hide them, while I want some of them, like the mushroom one, it's going to be probably among the easiest to spot. I do want to kind of give some difficulty as far as those that are going to be adamantly hunting for these eggs, trying to get the prizes. I want to give them a bit of a challenge. So I've decided to go with, you know, the more natural looking coloring, but giving some extra little bits to kind of help break it up. And hopefully it'll cleverly kind of blend, but not, so that they really have to look around. And of course, once they're shrunk down to their size that they're going to be placed, they're all going to be the same size that they are in these baskets. That means they're going to have to really be pretty close to where they are. It's not like they're going to be at a distance and see the little egg sitting there on the hill. They're actually going to have to walk over and all of the little nooks and crannies and spot them out themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see how well that goes. I may end up giving out tons of prizes because everybody will find them all, but I'm hoping to stump a few. You know, not out of meanness, just, you know, try to keep it fun and challenging. Because, you know, if I make these little event kind of things too easy, then they kind of get bored with it, or they just assume, you know, or it's almost like, well, why not just give them all prizes from the get-go if you're going to make it so easy? So I'm going to have them work for it. But yeah, so today we're just going to work on placing some of this stuff. It's kind of boring work, but it's stuff that needs to be done. So you'll get to see how I've been manipulating these things to try and place them and everything. I'm sure other people do it differently, but this is how I do it. So, but I decided to go with white roses for these rose bushes here, mostly because I had done so many red for the Valentines that I really wanted to steer clear of the habanero blooms. I find them one of the prettier flowers, but I was just ready for a different color. Come on, you little thingy. Out here. So what I do is I just place it, I free place it, I turn off the advanced mode so I can just kind of follow the contour of the bush itself, and I find a spot that I like, and then I leave it, and then I just copy it. And it looks a little weird in the beginning because, you know, they're all out, like stem and all, but later I'll sink them all down. But I feel like if you follow the contour of the bush, you get a little better variety as far as how they're aimed and positioned. And rather than trying to specifically position yourself all the time. Come on, you thing. Doesn't want to move. Sometimes when it copies over, the two just don't want to separate. Come on. Goofy. Interesting angle. That one worked. I don't know why the other one didn't work. And I just keep filling it in until I feel like there's enough. I don't want to be too uniform with it because, again, it's a plant, so you just want to kind of keep it, my favorite word, loosey-goosey. I don't know if I mentioned it before. I probably have because it's an amusing thing to me. But my husband, he hears me say things like that, like loosey-goosey, and he'll go, "That's my next character's name." And so he has a character in World of Warcraft called loosey-goosey. I don't know. He says I save him hours of trying to figure out what to use for a name. So it's like he records me or something. He writes it down. I'll say odd little phrases, and like the latest one I think was I don't even know what we were talking about. We were in the car, and I said something like bumpity bumpity turn turn, and it just cracked him up. And as soon as we got home, he hopped on the game and created a character. I think that's in WildStar actually. There's a character called Bumpity Bumpity Turn Turn, or just Bumpity Turn Turn, one of the two. So if you see that, that's my husband running around. No imagination. He's got to steal from me. Now I'll probably, as I get ready to start pushing these down into the bushes, I will probably rotate a few just to change it up a little bit more. What special way do you guys decide how to name your characters? I don't have a special thing. I kind of like look up like some of the lore rules as far as naming. You know, there's usually like maybe the Chua has certain syllables that they avoid or something. I kind of look at that, but then I just kind of go on my own. I don't maybe stick with super traditional naming. I don't know what you call it, rules or whatever, but I know there are a few that really take that stuff pretty serious. Oh, come on. See, I don't know how to go about that because when people talk about concept for a character, I'm like, I guess it's probably because I'm just not much of a role player. Maybe that doesn't really, it's not so important to me. I just play what feels fun. I'm sure any of the classes could be fun, but like I played a rogue in World of Warcraft, so it felt natural to go with the stalker in WildStar. But it's not like I have a backstory for why I became a stalker or that I am a stalker, or you know, I don't have that story like, you know, I lost my parents in the war and all that kind of stuff, and that's why I behave the way I do. I don't know, my characters tend to just be the personality that I am anyway. Except for I think I'm more talkative in game than I am, or I not talkative, social. I'm more social in game, um, which sounds weird because I'm being kind of social now, and this is kind of me. But um, if you knew me, you'd know what I mean. I don't like going to parties. I don't like, not even like for relatives, for family gatherings and stuff. It's stressful to me and noisy, and I don't know. I prefer to just spend time with just my immediate family, my son and my husband. And, obviously I'm very comfortable with just hanging out with myself, reading a book or something. But that's probably the main difference between myself and my characters. I don't play like a role necessarily. Well, see, that works, Poi. If, uh, I guess it's kind of how I did with mine, with the vegetables being a big thing in my life recently, that I would stick with vegetables and stuff. But yeah, going with dad, daddy, grandpa. My dad, I call him Pops. He's a grandpa, but I call him Pops myself. Well, see, I don't know, what does the penny dreadful stand for, though? I mean, how is that a concept? Is that from a specific like Halloweeny game, or see, I'm like really when people start talking about all these references and stuff, these game references like anime and things, unless it's really mainstream, like I've heard of BioShock and um, Final Fantasy and stuff, but only peripherally. I know the name, but I don't know like the stories of the people. And they'll like go on and on about how, it's got this city in there and there's this person that runs the bar and, and I like the personality of, and it's like, what? Um, what is the Penny Dreadful about? Is that just the name you made up? What does the penny mean? I know like the lucky penny or, the bad penny. I know there's a poem about a brown penny. No, I don't even know what that is. Is that something significant? See, I live under a rock. I told you I'm not very sociable, so I don't like know about anything. So you're gonna have to explain. What's a penny dreadful? Because maybe I'm showing just how daft I am. I don't know. It's just not something that rings a bell to me. Well, I'm old, but not that old. No, I've never heard of that. It's interesting though, to hear how people come up with that stuff. But I didn't know that, no. Huh. Well, see, now that makes sense, the why you use that then, since it's a Halloween plot and you wanted to use it that way. See, now it makes sense. Now I probably won't remember that, but I get it now. So like, it's the early B movies, but it's in writing. The B stories. Oh, whoops, hit the wrong arrow there. Oh, well, it sounds so joyous. Right up your alley, I guess, because like you said, you're a real big fan of Halloween. I like Halloween. My mom used to really get into it when we were younger. She would, I think we were one of the few in the neighborhood. I mean, usually it was always Christmas time. You know, you'd have the neighborhood just loaded with lights, and we had at least a couple of neighbors that it was like they were in competition with who could decorate with the most gaudy, huge, noisy, blinky looking stuff. But for Halloween, there was very few that did that. But my parents were pretty into that for a few years when we were younger, and she would like play all kinds of creepy music, where you'd have witches cackling and weird mummy moaning sounds and people screaming and things like that, and loud noises like glass breaking and all that kind of, it would just be real quiet, and all of a sudden you hear this, crash and stuff, and it kind of freak our trick-or-treaters out. And my brother got into the habit of, probably seen videos of those that sit on the porch and dress up and sit real still, so it looks like they're just a prop. And then they'd have the bowl of candy in their lap. And then when the kids would come to reach, they go, "Bruh!" And my brother would do that, and he'd have a blast and scare the bejeebus out of a bunch of the neighborhood kids. But it's enjoyable, but I don't know, it makes me too nervous. I'm too skittish for that kind of stuff. Okay, so I think that's enough flowers. I didn't really count to see if it's the same amount. I don't think that really matters. Again, you don't want to be too matchy-matchy when it comes to stuff like this, so I think that's all right. Next, we're going to work on the top tier on the left side. Yeah, I'm surprised my brother never got punched, but I think he was safe, you know. And as we got older, it was more and more older kids were going out and playing pranks on each other and stuff. So he might have gotten hit if he kept doing it up into that age. But when we were smaller, it was mostly just little kids that screamed and ran to their parents. But anyway, so what we're going to use here is we're just going to basically make it the same arrangement on the other side, just like I did with the bottom one. Um, and but it doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to have the three purple bushes. I think I have three in there, yeah. And we're just going to copy and then slide them over and kind of put them in like we have on the other side. So it's kind of matchy-matchy, but not. You want to have it similar, but not exact. So like this one is more in the center of that one, so we'll just I love these little purple bushes, but I hardly ever use them because of that one side being so gappy. It looks weird to me. But in this particular setting, you can kind of hide that by just kind of mushing it up against the wall. It kind of fixes that a little bit. I don't know how far out I've got those things. Let me see. Kind of far. That over here. The reason I'm copying them is so that I get them on the same level. So I don't have to sit there and go, is it right on there or not? Push this one this way. Turn this one just a little bit. Same with this one. Okay, I think I like that. Next up is flowers here. Now the reason I copied them from here and then drug them over rather than just copying one and then dragging from there, don't ask me why, I just did it. It's probably easier the other way. That's the trouble with me. If you watch me, you're going to learn some not so good habits. I do some really silly stuff. I do things the hard way, the time-consuming way. I don't know. Okay, I've got that one there, and then I need to copy over the ferns. They fill up the gappy. Probably really didn't need them, but it just, I don't know, it felt empty. This one feels pretty full and the other one felt empty, so I went ahead and decided to throw these in. The only thing is I gotta watch to see if they're not poking through on that side. I didn't have to worry about that on the other stuff because you know it's already coming up into here anyway, so probably have to double check that over here and make sure there's nothing sticking out. Don't think so. Yeah, I think we're okay. Okay, so we're basically just lining the teal plants along the front, and then we'll fill in the little gappy with the fern bits. Now, there's one other one that I thought about adding, and this is thanks to Soccer giving us the secret to the purple plants. I don't know if I have any of those. We'll have to buy a few. But I'm thinking these might look pretty right here in the middle. Just to kind of give a reason for those fernies. Fernies look a little bare. And it is purple. I was wanting to keep this tier kind of purple blue, so I think that matches all right. And we'll just add another bunch. Here it is, those arrows. They're so hard to see in all that color. Yeah. Now we have another one to stick on there. Just copy that over. So while I behave as if there's no rhyme or reason to why I put stuff where I put it, that kind of shows that I kind of do have a plan, sort of. Like picking the white flowers, I had enough of the red. It's not that the red isn't pretty though, because those habanero blooms are really pretty. What I really wanted to get, instead of these yellow, like, I don't know, what do you call them? Daisies? Is that what that looks like? I really wanted the canary ones because those come in like a nice big cluster like the weeping cups, but it requires reputation that my alt doesn't have. The only thing I hate about all of those reputations, there's a few that you can kind of easily get, like Galeris and White Veil and, you know, some of the lower ones, but I don't want to have to level up all of my alts to 50 just to be able to get access to all of the reputations. I'd really like that to be different. I feel like if I worked for the reputation with my main, it should just automatically unlock, or at least have a way of allowing me to unlock it with the rest of my characters. So that, for housing at least. I don't care about the gear and stuff. It's just the house stuff I want, the decor. I like the stepping stones in uh, Starcom Basin, and a lot of the plushies that are in various zones. Those are all bind on pickup. So you have to have the reputation with those areas, and it's just annoying. Thankfully, my carrot is pretty easy to get a hold of, so I've made sure all of my alts that are currently in housing have access to the carrot. It's just unfortunate that that is not the case for most or all. I don't know, do you guys mind leveling up your alts for that kind of access? I would think more people would, probably be in favor of opening it up a little bit better. Or maybe making it, instead of bind on pickup, maybe bind on account for the items that you unlock. That would be alright, I guess. Even if they don't want to flood the auction house with them all. I guess that's where shared crate would be nice, if they, still provided plenty of storage. Then whatever your main had access to, your alts would as well, even if your main was the one that had to buy it. You mind, but you still do. Well, yeah. I probably will too eventually. Just I do it when it's become an absolute necessity, because trying to think what it was I was needing. I can't remember. It was something I was needing on my Valentine plot that I had to go and spend a day or afternoon trying to level up some so that I could get access to the vendor there. Yeah, I think a shared crate would probably solve that issue. Especially when you get this rare item, and then I've got a ton of stuff in my bank that I've collected, and I'm afraid to use it because once I put it somewhere, it's stuck. I can't, change my mind, and so I'm reluctant to actually learn it. I got a lot of winter stuff that I picked up that I'm reluctant to put on, any particular one, because maybe I'll decide later that I want to build it on somebody else, and then I'll go, no, because now I don't have that item anymore on such and such's plot. That's frustrating. I would really like a little bit more flexibility in that regard. Either a shared crate or a way to remove from crate, even if it's at a cost, a gold cost or something, within reason. I would almost go for that. Did I put a flower there? Did I just move that? Ugh. I moved it wrong. Yeah, I should do that. Maddie, you're always so well planned. And I'm like, maybe, if I feel like it. I know I should take advantage of it, because there's, eventually I will probably build on, something on all of my plots, and I have like 20 something, but I don't know. I think it's like I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. I should just pick one and say, this is the one I'm going to, work on, and get them up there, and just haven't. Been bad. Just a little bit more. Trying to avoid having to get another one out. Just Okay, can't even select the flower. There we go. I don't know. Does that look alright? No. I guess. Geez, soccer. 6 of them? I have 1. I think the next closest is, I think I got a couple of them in the 20s, maybe 20, 25. There might be one in its 30s, but I'm not positive. Most of them are at 3, big whopping 3. I got them out of the ARC ship so that they wouldn't get removed, and that was about as the extent of it. Oh, see, my Dominion one, he's only 14. I got him to 14. I was like, hallelujah. I'm never leveling him with. I don't think he's left housing since he hit 14 at all. Uh, Maybe to go to the auction house for something just to check it out, but that was it. Beyond that, he has never left his housing. So I don't know if he'll ever get higher than 14. The poor little thing. See, that's why he's got that sad face, is because I won't play with him. Whoops. There's invalid decor error. No. Well, yeah, I find the questing stuff interesting, depending, on either side, but the thing that bugs me is when I go to play on an alt, even if it's on my own faction, um, I will get something that didn't drop from a main, and maybe it's soulbound, and I wish I had gotten it on her, and I feel bad, and so I usually tend to just get the stuff. I tend to stick to what's, because like there was a lot of pets and things that I hadn't gotten on my main yet, and I was starting to pick them up with my alts, and I was like, no, I want to get them on the main first. I don't know, I'm weird like that, but or like achievements and stuff. I just prefer to get all of that on my main. I was thinking about that, soccer. Because I read about them talking about the merger and how that was going to affect those that already have characters. Because I took advantage of that the last time they did the merger with the different Jabbits. That's how I ended up with 20 plus characters, even though technically we're only allowed, 12 or something. And that was why. It's because I went and created a bunch on there. And I was thinking about doing the same thing for the PvP one before they bring them over. It sounds bad, but it's just, we're so obsessive with housing. You're eventually going to need another plot. There's just some you don't want to get rid of. Hey, looky there. Like login claim. I think I'm a day behind than everybody. I got sick real bad that one week, and I think I missed a day. Okay, so there we have our second tier of garden up there. So it's kind of the same, but it's not. They've all been carefully arranged, sort of. I've been thinking about where I would put a mailbox. Would it make more sense to have the mailbox over there, at the little arch, or at the actual house? I wonder. I'm gonna have to decide because I'd really like one. Because most of my plots don't have a mailbox, and I've heard a few people complain because usually they'll come and visit and then they want to mail something and I don't have a mailbox available and they get all fussy. And oh, Phyllis, these coming on. But yeah, I'm seriously thinking about hopping over to Lumini. Oh, yeah, probably wondering about this. I forgot. I was playing around with water. I heard some people, I guess it was a few weeks ago, talking about this new fandangled water that they discovered. This is one of those chalices, the silver chalice. It's the bottom of it. I just turned it upside down, and this thing is huge. It's like, yeah, 1500 size. It's like gigantic. But it works pretty good as a water. You can see there's collision, but it's only at a certain depth, so you can kind of like you're wading around in water. I was just playing around with what it looked like, how it behaved, the shape of it, and all that. So if you have the exotic silver chalice or any extras lying around somewhere, you don't know what to do with them, you might try experimenting with some water features. Because like I said, it's got collision, but it's like you can see how I kind of step up. It's like halfway where the bottom is. It pops you up, but it gives you a little bit of an illusion as if there's some depth there. And so it looks like I'm wading around in water. But yeah, I was thinking about adding a water feature to here, like a lake or something. But I wasn't sure just how big I needed it, because you know that thing comes in really tiny. The first time I placed it on this plot, I placed it and then placed something else, and it took me the decor finder to find it, because I walked around where I had put it, and I was zooming in and looking, and it's like I can't see it. It was like super tiny. So enlarging it is pretty crazy, because I'm surprised it has to be, that's why it's like 1500, and it's not even, not even a quarter of the plot size. So imagine if someone's using it for their entire plot or something, that's like really big. But yeah, it looks a little frosty. So it's probably what I've been seeing and calling glass, and because the glass looks a little different, especially if you're trying to get it a little darker to show the color, you can actually see the layers of the glass. And I've been coming across several plots that don't quite have that, but it looked like water, but didn't quite look like, other things. And this is probably what it is. I think it's the word has been getting around. So I thought, well, I better see what it's about. So this is what it's about. It's a pretty nifty little bit, especially because of the collision allowing you to kind of stand in it. So that's helpful. The glass and stuff, you can't do that with. So yeah, probably a water feature back there. I want to add a mailbox. And I'm thinking about possibly adding some kind of a barn or something with maybe a little herd. Because again, I'm trying to add features that I would think would appear on here, so that gives me more hiding places. Because I don't want to do just a bunch of eggs and little clumps of grass. I want to be able to kind of, so I figured a barn, there would be grain sacks and hay bales and maybe a little garden with different things, like a vegetable garden. A little pin of WildStar or something in there. I think that will work good. How exactly I'm going to do that, I'm not sure yet. I was thinking about doing like Trudy did with their plot for the hills, but I don't really want to do that because I feel it's too much like what they did. So I'm going to leave mine bare and just call them rock mountains. I'm not going to try and treat them as grass. Now I say that, and I'm kind of waiting to see when the new spring decor comes out. If that comes out ahead of my day that I've got planned for this event, then I may try and use some of those to just blanket them, use their shape to kind of make this nice, pretty, flowery hill. But it really just depends on when that decor hits live. I presume sometime soon, but it might not be in time for this particular event, so we'll see. But yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and call it for today. My throat's starting to get really dry and everything, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys Namely, I wanted to show the demo for the little light switch thing, but also wanted to kind of force myself to work on the plot a little bit more. Both. Do you have allergies? I know I do. Gosh, I hate nature. Nature hates me, so I hate it back. But oh, I forgot to mention this one. This one is the tall file. It's just one of those little bottle things. I was thinking about using it just to dot, make some shiny dots on there in a little random pattern or something. The plates would probably work well too. The way I do it is once I got my egg set up, I just copy one of them and I place the plate, for example, and then I just, where is that thing? There we go. And then I just start tweaking about like the design that might be on it or something. Maybe use it this way. That kind of thing, positions and stuff. But yeah, if you're going to try something like this, get your general shape down first, how you like it. Save that as a set, and then just start decorating so that as you decorate, you can just save all of that as a group and push it aside, and then you put down a new plain one and you can just have fun. That's how I did with these. I just started decorating, just picking out different stuff. Probably the brighter the better. Some of these are a little bit, you know, kind of, you really have to be up close to see it to appreciate the designs that are on there, but that's why I'm hoping the files work out nice, because that's nice and bright. But anyway, yeah. Grass. You're allergic to grass? Wow. I had a dog allergic to grass. Oh, she'd gnaw her legs to the bone practically every spring. Poor little thing. I mean, you know, you'd have to take her out to do her business and stuff, and then she'd just come inside and she'd just gnaw on her legs because everywhere the grass touched her, she was like in misery. But yeah, we ended up having to like put like some weird cream on her and everything. Bunny fur, well, it's not every day you come into contact with bunny fur. But grass, there's no way avoiding grass. Is it a particular kind of grass or just any grass? That would be bad. That's like being allergic to air. It'd be like the boy in the bubble. You know. I used to be scared of grass. There's a picture of me. My mom had to buy this giant plushy turtle. I mean, it was huge. It was like 3 times my size. And this is like, I'm talking, I was like maybe 1 or 2 years old or something. And I was scared of grass. I didn't like the feel of it, and it freaked me out. And my mom bought me this big turtle, and I would sit on the turtle in the yard while they would, you know, do their thing in the yard, and I would sit on the turtle. I was scared of the grass. Or not scared of it, I just didn't like it. I guess I didn't like the texture of it. I don't know, textures are a thing for me. Why I'm particular about my food and stuff. But yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for joining. Again, if you have any questions about Katya's add-on and the new Interactables feature, if you want me to try and show that again another time, feel free to ask, and I'll try to do it. I can't promise it'll work. You know, we saw this morning it didn't go right the first time, but we managed to get to work 3 times after that, so that was good. But seriously though, if you have any questions or requests, you know, additional features that you would like the add-on to have, feel free to contact Katya directly. She's got the KBT thread in the housing forum that she always checks. She's also got the feedback on the Curse page where you can download the add-on. I do have links to her add-on and Laments. I use both of them pretty much regularly every day. But yeah, I hate to say that it's a must-have. I feel like it is, but you really can get away with doing housing without them. There's lots of people that work without it, um, partly because some of them don't know about the add-ons. Others have chosen not to use it, like Ninit, one of the houses we visited a couple weeks ago. Uh, their house that we toured, they did all of that without the add-on. So, you know, it's still possible, but it just makes building much easier if you have it. And yes, there is a bit of a learning curve, but uh, once you get past that, it becomes kind of like, you know, natural to use it. Well, my brother, when he would do the lawn, he was kind of allergic to the grass and stuff. He always had to wear a mask and everything. Of course, one time he got like a bit of grass in his eye and it made it swell up like the size of a softball, and he had to go to the emergency room. And so, yeah, my whole family's riddled with all sorts of allergies, so I feel for you if grass and stuff is a pretty bad thing. Well, I don't know how to help you on that for you about the download because uh, you saw how horrible I am trying to instruct people. Um, for my add-ons, though, I use the, what's it called? The Mission Control. It's something I got. They have it there. I think it's in one of the pin topics in the add-on forums. I feel like I got something in my eye. Talking about grass in the eye. Um, and it kind of does it automatically for you. That's what I use. I use the Mission Control. I haven't even updated the thing. I don't know if it's got an update for it, but basically what you do is you download um, the add-on, and then you push that file off onto Mission Control, and it sets that for you. Valid copy. I don't know. That's weird. Have you tried like posting in the forums? If you know if Soccer or Maddie can't help you, then maybe you could try posting in the forums to get somebody a little bit more knowledgeable about that stuff. Because I really don't want to mess someone up um, explaining it wrong. But I don't know about files and stuff. It's like with the sets for Katya's sets. It took me a long time to get comfortable with messing with that because you know, you start opening files and tinkering with the coding and stuff. That makes me nervous. Well, if nothing else, I would say post there. Explain exactly what you're doing, what you're trying to install, and the error you're getting, and they could probably help you out. That would be my suggestion. Okay then, so that's it for today. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed that little demo. It's probably not the smoothest demo. Obviously, there was a little glitchiness in the beginning, but we got it to work, and you saw, you know, the steps and everything. And hopefully, that'll allow you guys to give it a try yourself and make some housing magic happen. But yeah, and as well, you know, we'll probably be revisiting the spring plot next week. Again, if I get the chance, I will see if I can find some more stuff on the PTR, like those that might have some of the other fab kits on their plots that we can check out. And if I find any more plots that, you know, we can kind of sneak in and take a look at. But ooh, bones, that's so bad. That's yeah, I think I'll be cringe. I want to say, isn't there a way to cancel when you start? a place thing, and isn't there a way to cancel it? I want to say there was. I know I asked her about that before, and I asked her again yesterday about doing some video toots, and she said she's working on it. So, but yeah, that having a double plot, that would be pretty bad. I would probably cry. I don't know. I think it would probably give me error because there's a lot of things I only have like one of that I might have used, and that would probably wig it out. You know, maybe sometime for us doofies, she'd put like, are you sure you want to place all this? Are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? Just one more time, I'm gonna ask, are you sure? Have like a triple safety. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, to try and figure out what, because I don't know, be a lot of stuff that'd just be a mess, a real big mess. Controls, is that how you stop it supposedly? Huh. Well, I know I've asked her about it because I always look for, there's like no cancel button. That's what I was looking for. Um, because I think I did the same thing, but it was like for a small set. I ended up having the set twice. Thankfully, it wasn't the whole plot, but I remember asking her about that. And she was like, "Oh, you can cancel." It's like, oh, some of that goes so fast you just don't have time to cancel. But with a really big plot, it takes a minute or two to replace all that. Oh gosh, maybe it's escape or something. Because I know, like, if you have, say, you move something and you, I think if you hit, yeah, escape, it cancels it. Oops, not all the way. But yeah, anyway, uh, it's like with the lighting thing. You're gonna have to really be careful. Again, if you try a new feature, it's really better to do it on a plot, like a tester plot, not on your favorite, do it on a tester plot. Unlike me, I was nutsy and did it on my main plot, but like I said last night, it was, she was holding my hand while we were walking through it, and it worked like a charm when she was there. And this morning I got there testing it out, and I kept messing. I was like, oh no. I even messaged her. She's probably laughing her bottom off about it, but I messaged her. Was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this because I can't get it to work. It keeps blinking and stuff, and you try to walk around, it's like, I was probably wigging out the whole housing thing. But thankfully, we got it to work. It's on film now, even with my errors and stuff. But hopefully, it helps somebody figure it out and get a little comfortable with it. And it'd be really neat to see how people incorporate that in. Like I said, the biggest disadvantage is you do have to be present on the plot. So, for those that host events or role-playing gatherings and stuff, that's going to be a given anyway because you're going to be there because you're wanting to engage in the role play and stuff. But at least this way, you can make it a little bit more immersive with having, switches for different things, whatever you come up with. But yeah, it should be fun. Um, I wonder how that will affect housing competitions though, because if they really use that interactability to their advantage, and then it comes time for judging, there's been a lot of competitions lately where the judges are saying we can't organize for everybody to give us a personal tour. For those that have that kind of setup, that would almost be a must, I would think. So that might become kind of a thing later on where, you know, like even if Carbine has a housing competition, they're going to say, hey, I need to be on the plot when you're there so everything works like it's supposed to just bring that extra added little bit. So yeah, should be interesting to see how that plays out and how it affects other things. You know, I just thought of that with the housing competitions, but you know, if the person has to be on the plot for it to work, then that would mean they'd have to be there for like, you know, when the judges came by, kind of thing. Anywho, so yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for joining, and hope to see you next week. Um, in the meantime, you guys have a great weekend. Don't get into any trouble, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.